right, so here's what you guys missed today in class. For starters, I collected the iReady tracking sheets from last week. So I know you guys probably have those with you, and you're welcome to just turn them in whenever you're back because I can just look online and see what you've done for last week. So I'm going to upload a digital copy of the iReady tracking sheet for this week. Or if your parents or someone's coming to pick up any work or a friend is bringing home any work to give to you, I'll make sure to put a paper copy in there. All right, so what we talked about today is this Friday, you're being asked to finish your book. And so now that the book is coming to a close, it's our job to prepare ourselves to be able to write about this reading. Well, you guys have already been preparing yourself by doing the evidence tracker sheet that we've been working on in class. And basically, that's the sheet that asks you how have the pressures in your character's life challenged them to adapt and change. And we've been collecting our answers for that. We've been finding text evidence for that. And all of that is for the purpose of being able to write sort of like a mini essay about our book. And so today I introduced this writing strategy to the class, and I'm going to ask you to use this writing strategy for our mini essay that's coming up later this week about our book. And so this strategy is called the RACE strategy. And I had students write that in their notebook at the top. And I explained to them what this strategy is all about. The RACE strategy is a strategy, guys, that we're going to be using all year long, and you could use it in other classes too. So any class that you're doing reading in, so science, social studies, wellness, truly any of those classes that reading is taking place, you can use this writing strategy in order to help you organize your writing, be really thorough in your writing, and cite evidence to support your writing. And so here is what the strategy looks like. As you can see here on the left, the RACE strategy is just a 4-step strategy that basically builds a perfect paragraph. And so the 4 steps are R for restate, which basically means that you're going to restate the question. Whatever question that you're answering in your writing, you're going to take that question, restate it, and reformat it so that it begins your answer. So for example, if I asked you a question like, let's see, when is your birthday? You wouldn't just throw your birthday out there, January 11th. Instead, you would respond with, my birthday is January 11th. Doing so makes it really clear exactly what question you're answering. And so every time we start a written response to a question, we need to make sure to take that question, reframe, and rework it so that it begins our answer. The second step of the strategy is to answer the question. So if I asked you the question, what is your favorite Halloween candy? You would say, my favorite Halloween candy is, that's the restate, and then you would give your answer, Kit Kats. Okay, so notice that's just one sentence pieced together where I've restated the question and given a clear answer. The third step of the strategy is to cite text evidence. And we've been practicing this in class with our books, you guys, where you're writing down evidence to support some of the claims you're making on your evidence tracker sheet that we've been doing in our groups. So today we just sort of practiced what it looks like to cite evidence in a written response and how we use some of these evidence-based terms in order to introduce our evidence. So instead of just plopping evidence into our writing, we might say something like, the text states, or according to the text, and then put our quotation marks and our text evidence. And then lastly is explain your thinking. And this is the most important part of the strategy and absolutely the most difficult part. This is where we explain ourselves. You know, we've restated the question. We've provided an answer to the question. We found evidence to support our answer to the question. Now we need to explain our answer. We need to explain how we came to the conclusion we made, or how the evidence we picked supports what you've said at all. And so there's quite a bit of things to explain in that last step, but we just aren't ready to do the explain yet. So in class today, we focused on the first three, the R, the A, and the C. And I gave everybody a cutout of this, and we labeled these with the various colors. And so we just took a highlighter, and I think we made the restate yellow, the answer we made blue, and then our text evidence we made pink. And so we basically said anytime we do a written response and we restate, we answer, we cite, and we explain, we're going to highlight it in those different colors to show that you've included all the parts. So this is all, fairly complicated to explain, but what we did today is we went right into this practice. And so, for example, and I'm going to do like a couple for you here. For example, this first section of the assignment is 7 questions long. And basically what you're doing is you're taking these 7 questions and you're restating them. So you're not putting an answer or anything like that. You're simply just writing a restate, which again just means that you're taking the question and you're beginning your answer by using the question to help you reframe your answer. So let me give you an example. This question here, number 5, we'll do 5. It says, how does the author convince readers to agree with him? Well, when I do my answer here, I have to take those words and use those to begin my answer. So, how does the author convince readers to agree with him? I would say the author convinces readers to agree with him by, and that's my restate. Now, notice I haven't put an answer yet because I don't have one for this question right now. But basically what I've just done is taken the exact words right out of the question and put them into my answer to make it very clear what question I'm answering. And so in class, everybody did numbers 1 through 7 by themselves. Then we went down to the bottom here, and this is still practicing restating, our first step of the strategy. But this time, what we talked about is numbers 1 through 5. These are actually people's restates and answers. And if these 5 numbers restated well, then you should be able to read their restate and answer and be able to tell pretty clearly what question they were being asked. So, for example, let's look at number 1. If I could live anywhere in the world, I would live in Greece. This is their restate right here. If I could live anywhere in the world, that's the restate. And here's their answer. I would live in Greece. So based on that restate and answer, I'm going to ask myself the question, what question were they asked? And so looking at that question again, or that restate again, if I could live anywhere in the world, I would live in Greece. I think they were asked, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? Okay. So basically, you're doing the opposite of what we did at the top. At the top, you're given a question and you restate it. At the bottom, you're given the restate and you write what question they were asked to come to that restate. The front of this assignment here, you guys, numbers 1 through 7 and then 1 through 5 are going to have us practicing the R and the A of the race strategy. So that's where our first practice is going to come in. And then this one here, we did the first one together in class. And so I'm just going to show you how to do this, and then I'll have you try the one at the bottom by yourself. So now that we know how to restate an answer, what we do next is we add in the next step, which is citing our text evidence. So let me show you exactly how this process would work. I have this short passage here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the passage, and notice there is a question right here, and I'm going to restate that question, answer the question, and cite text evidence to support my answer. I'm not going to explain right now because I'm only practicing 3 steps of the strategy: restating, answering, and citing evidence. So again, I'm going to go ahead and read it. I'm going to look at the question, restate it, answer it, and cite evidence. So here we go. A mean old man ate a large meal at a restaurant. The waitress tried to provide him with excellent service, but every time she brought him a dish, he complained. First, he thought that the soup was too cold when it was hot. Then he said that his steak was dry and chewy when it was moist and succulent. Then he complained that one of her blonde hairs was in his mashed potatoes, but the hair was actually gray like his own. She remained patient and continued to try to help him until the end of the meal, when he left her a quarter for a tip. She replied, on his way out, "Thank you for the generous tip, mister." So now that we've read the text, let's go ahead and look at the question, and let's figure out how to restate, answer, and cite evidence to support our answer. So the question is, how was the man making the waitress's day more difficult? So I'm going to start with a restate, and I'm going to do that in my colors here. There we go. Hold on. All right. How would I restate this question? How was the man making the waitress's day more difficult? Here we go. The man was making the waitress's day difficult by, now I've restated. It's very clear what question I'm answering. Now I'm going to put my answer. So I'm going to ask myself, okay, what was he doing to make her day more difficult? And based on everything I'm reading, it sounds like he was just being really needy and complaining a lot. So I'm going to say the man was making the waitress's day more difficult by being incredibly needy and complaining about everything. Okay. So now what I've done is I've put a restate, and I've put, get rid of these lines, a restate, and I've put my answer. So now I've done 2 steps of the race strategy. Now it's on to the 3rd step, which is citing text evidence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the passage, and I'm going to look for a really good line that supports what I'm saying in my answer, that he's incredibly needy and complains about everything. I think I kind of like the second line here that says the waitress tried to provide him with excellent service, but every time she brought him a dish, he complained. I feel like that one's really good for me, so that's the one I'm going to use, I think. So before I start to cite my evidence, I'm going to go over to my evidence-based terms, and I'm going to choose which one I would like to introduce my evidence with. And I really like according to the text, so that's how I'm going to start. So here we go. I'm going to say, according to the text. And now I'm going to copy word for word this line here into my answer. And I have to make sure it's in quotation marks, written exactly like it is in the passage. So the waitress tried to provide him with excellent service, but every time she brought him a dish, he complained. Okay. There it is. That is the strategy so far. Now, of course, we're missing this last step here, which is the explanation. This step is the longest part of the strategy. But in order to be able to explain really well, we have to be able to do these first 3 steps really well. And so I've done it here. I've included a restate, an answer and cited evidence to support what I'm saying. The last step is to simply explain. You are going to be asked to do this exact same process down here with this small passage and this question. You'll read the passage, answer the question, restate the question, answer the question, and then cite text evidence to support your answer. This was done independently in class today, and students had it checked by me to make sure they were ready to turn it in. So guys, this was a graded assignment. And so if you could work on this at home and just hit the turn in button on this, I'll go ahead and get it graded for you. And then I'll upload something like later today or even tomorrow that's about how to explain. And then from there, the rest of our week will be really focused on finishing our book. And then you will start writing your own paragraphs about your own book using this exact same strategy. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's focus on this first. All right, you guys, I hope you have a good rest of the day, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.